I suppose this is the first time I've written about my job. I work as a janitorial technician at the Hines & Miller law firm. I usually work the graveyard shift, which I enjoy. No lawyers walking around you while you clean, and no supervisors to micromanage you. Tonight is going to be a typical night. Me and the night guard Sergio holding down the fort till 7 a.m. Sergio was maybe in his 40s. If he wasn't sleeping at his desk, he was probably sleeping on the toilet. I walked in the building, grabbed my keys and walkie-talkie from Sergio, and got my night started. I flicked on the lights of the janitor room, just a backdrop of chemicals and musty, unclean mops. I swiped a roll of paper towels in a spray bottle, got out of there before I passed out from the fumes. Alright, let's be real. Being a janitorial technician isn't the most spectacular job. What the fuck is a janitorial technician? I think I just say that to people to seem more professional, but even they know it's bullshit. I don't plan on being here forever, but it gets the bills paid. And it's not the worst job I had. It's somewhat therapeutic. You know, being here in silence, dim light, and cleaning. My arms and hands start to hurt a bit, but that's okay. Sometimes I'll check the lawyer's desk to see what they have, or what they're hiding. I've seen some pretty interesting things in those drawers. I've seen some explicit photos, I'm guessing from an affair, anthrax, whoopee cushions, and a dragon dick. Not an actual dragon dick, but a big-ass emerald green dildo with scales. It was on Walter's desk. I finally made my way to the break room. Not too messy tonight. Usually you would see dried up jelly on the tables, coffee stains, and spilled sugar near the Keurig. I guess they're being nice to Dash tonight. I started with the fridge. There's yogurt, coffee creamer, and a few lunches in plastic bags. In the bottom of the fridge, tucked in the back, was a wrapped cake. Maybe about a quarter left. Looking at these snacks made me hungry. I haven't eaten since 5, 6. It's 11:45 right now. Anyways, I tossed out the old and the molded, wiped down the trays and inside the doors. Afterwards, I worked on the break room window. With each wipe, I can feel my stomach inching back to my spine. I couldn't ignore the hunger now. I reached in my pocket and pulled out my wallet. Empty. I guess that's why I'm here. I went back to the desk to see if there was loose change on them. Collectively, I was able to scoop up $1.50. I headed up to the second floor where the vending machine was. The options were ass, but I grabbed a chocolate bar to hold me over. By the time I finished cleaning the fourth floor, I was starving again. I finished vacuuming and went down to the break room. I didn't have any more change for the vending machine, and I didn't feel like going on an excursion to find some more. I opened up the fridge and went for the cake tucked in the back. No one's going to realize it's gone. It's just a slice. I unwrapped the saran wrap and devoured that red velvet piece of gold. It was so good, so rich. When 7 o'clock came around, I said goodbye to Sergio and headed straight home to knock out. But strangely, when I woke up, I was starving. Not hungry, starving. I drove down to Chico's chicken spot and got me a family feast. I sat in the parking lot and ate that whole thing. And after eating 18 wings, 10 biscuits, mashed potatoes, and coleslaw, I was still hungry. I know I didn't smoke, so it wasn't the munchies. Maybe it's from practically eating nothing yesterday. I guess that does make sense. I got a call from my boss, Mr. Ridgman. He was a nice but stern boss. When you first meet him, he'll greet you with his prosthetic hand, just to see how you would react. He had a humor like that. He asked if I ate the cake in the fridge. I told him no. He said all right and hung up. But I was nervous. I thought to myself, did I eat my boss's cake? Would he fire me for eating a slice of cake? No way, right? That evening I was back at it. Said what's up to Sergio, then headed to the supply closet. I was in the bathroom scrubbing the toilet, thinking to myself, what do I want to do after this job? I got my degree in journalism, but haven't found any opportunities out here. It's tough knowing you graduated from college, but have to do these dead-end jobs till you find a career position. I still wake up some mornings thinking, today's the day I'll figure it out. I'll dust off that diploma, update my resume, and send out applications like I'm supposed to. But by the time I get home from this job, I'm too drained to believe I'll make a difference. So I just sit there staring at my ceiling, wondering if I'm stuck like this, if I've already peaked. Here we go. I made sure to pack a hefty lunch tonight. So hefty I might find myself on this very own toilet in a few hours. The next day was the worst of it. It started immediately after work. I went to a donut shop and ate 24 glazed donuts. By noon I was at a buffet eating everything in sight. Not once did I puke or feel nauseous. I just wanted to eat. Later in the day I swung by an urgent care to see if there was something wrong with my stomach. I was hoping it was just my metabolism going nuts. The doctor said everything looked fine. It was actually one of the healthiest stomachs she's seen in a while. She said I might be suffering from BED, binge eating disorder. The only thing I could do was control my eating or try. I put locks on my fridge and cupboards, prepped my meals for the day and tried to stick to it. But of course I couldn't. It was this inescapable feeling I would get in my stomach. No matter how much I tried not to focus on it, it would make me focus. It felt like I had my own mini killer Kowalski squeezing my stomach. At times my self-control would break after an hour. I found myself prying the locks open just to get a taste, like a fucking addict. It got to a point where I just left the locks off. What's the point? This went on for a few weeks. I tried going to a hypnotist, but that seemed to make things worse. I started noticing afterwards I was sleep eating. I would wake up in odd places in my apartment with crumbs and sauces all over me. Then there was the financial burden. I couldn't afford to keep eating nonstop. The quality of food I was buying dropped rapidly. I went from name brand to generic to the discounted damaged good racks, where you'll find a busted box of oatmeal for $1. One night, at my lowest, I was sitting by my window, and I saw a stray cat walk into an alley. And that's when 2 words struck me: free food. I stepped outside, walked across the street to the alley. I saw a few cats roaming around. It's crazy how one day stray animals wouldn't make you bat an eye, and the next day you're looking at them like a 5-course meal. I saw one perched on a trash can, giving itself a nice cleaning, completely oblivious to me walking up. It was orange and a bit dusty, but I didn't care. I was hungry. I pounced on the cat like a cheetah, grabbed it and started munching down. I went back inside my apartment to clean up. I stared at myself in the bathroom mirror, my face and shirt covered with remnants of that cat. Let me not forget to mention I hacked up a hairball too. I looked like a zombie. I felt like a zombie. What the fuck happened to my life? After a month of this shit, I called my boss for a sick day. But before we disconnected, I had one more question. Why did he ask people if they ate that slice of cake? Seemed like a very odd and specific thing to question. He gave me this bizarre folklore-type story about an old lawyer. His name was Arnold. And one day he came in with the cake. Not to share, evidently, but to eat for himself. He put the cake in the break room fridge. When he came back for his lunch, the cake was sliced up. Pieces missing. Actually, it was just a slice left, for Arnold. He was furious. Had a heart attack right there in the break room. And ever since then, that slice of cake cursed the office. No matter how many times it gets tossed away, it reappears. Whenever anyone eats it, they develop an eating disorder, where they eat, and they eat, and they eat. Eventually eating themselves. I asked him how he knew all this. I heard his prosthetic hand tap through the phone. He responded from personal experience. I told Mr. Ridgman I ate the cake and had been experiencing everything he just said. I just haven't started eating myself yet. He told me to replace the cake as soon as possible, but it must be homemade. Arnold took pride in his homemade cakes. I grabbed my keys and headed to the store. I had $20 left till my next paycheck. Right off the bat, it was hard to resist eating everything down the aisles. I grabbed a box of cake mix, milk, eggs, and a whisk. Quickly bought what I needed and left. I didn't want to hang around a food palace for too long. I sped back home and got my bacon on. It was probably one of the shittiest cakes I ever made. There might have been some eggshells in there too, but I didn't care about the presentation. I just wanted this cake back in the fridge. I threw it in the oven and took a little nap, set my alarm for 45 minutes. I returned to the kitchen and opened the oven. The cake was gone. Maybe it's my days coming out of sleep. I closed the oven, then reopened it. Cake still gone. I began freaking out. Where did the cake go? I went to my bathroom. I saw the cake pan flipped over in the tub. I looked in the mirror and saw crumbs of red velvet over my face. I was so pissed I wanted to punch the mirror. I must have been sleep eating. And that was my last $20. I'm broke. But I'm still getting that cake. I'm not dying by eating myself. I wasn't going to let that be an option. When it got dark, I put on all black. Black hoodie, black sweats, black running shoes. I was going to rob myself a cake. I pulled up to the grocery store. Security's looking slim, not too many casualties going in and out. Should be an easy job. I walked inside and beeline to the dessert area. I saw all these cakes but not a red velvet one. I guess it didn't matter because I suddenly remembered it needed to be homemade. New plan, steel cake mix. I grabbed the mix, tucked it in my arm like a football. I was preparing for my run out the entrance. I made sure my car key was ready to open the door. All right, let's do it. I bolted out the front. Honestly, I don't think the security gave a fuck. I didn't hear feet chasing me or stop right there. But I was fueled on so much adrenaline, I was running like I got chased by a militia of security guards. I got in my car and drove home. I walked in the office with cake number 2. I made sure to stay awake to avoid sleep eating. Couldn't risk that again. I didn't see Sergio at his desk, probably asleep in the bathroom. The janitor must have been on a different floor because I didn't see him either. I walked in the break room, kept the lights off to avoid detection. I used my phone light to guide me. When I got to the fridge, I sat my phone down because I knew the fridge light would illuminate the whole damn room. I placed the cake inside. I heard the janitor coming. I shut the fridge and ran to the front entrance. The janitor saw me and said, "What's up, Dash?" in a tone that was definitely asking for a conversation. I gave him a wave, a hi, and see you later. I was glad this mess was over. I'm never eating someone's food in the fridge again. I went home, and after a 1-ton shit, I comfortably rested. The next morning, I realized I forgot my cell phone on the break room counter. I threw on some clothes and headed back to the office. When I entered the break room, my heart, my jaw, nearly myself, dropped. I saw people standing around eating the cake. Shit, I put it on the top shelf. I didn't tuck it in the back where it was before. They all must think it was a normal cake. Mr. Richmond came around the corner. He patted me on the back and asked if I replaced the cake. I told him I did, but look at what everyone's doing to it. He stood in horror just like me. We watched, knowing that this break room of lawyers and secretaries will have eaten themselves by the end of this month. Unless they replace the cake, of course.